Now, in this box is a new gun from a company with a new logo. BRK, you'll know them as Brockock, and it's a very special gun. I've been lucky enough to test this over the last month or so, and today I've been invited down to the shooting range here in Reading to actually test not only this, but also the two other models in the range. What are they? Well, they're the new BRK Ghost, and I think it's about time we started talking about it. Tony.
Hello, Nigel. Welcome to Reading.
Firstly, thank you very much indeed for giving me sight of the BRK Ghost, the carbine version.
Yes.
And secondly, thank you very much for inviting me down to see the other two in the range, the BRK Ghost Plus and the BRK Ghost HP high power. But first of all, I've also got a lot of questions. I know this gun inside out, but I want to know a little bit more about what has gone into making this new gun of yours.
So let's give you some answers.
It is a monocoque body, monocoque
That's
chassis.
one of the biggest features of the rifle is a solid chassis. And very similar to the Daystate Alpha Wolf, Delta Wolf design, is you have one solid piece of aluminium at the back, which is everything fits into. All the secondary chamber, the regulator, a special valve assembly, they all go into this one piece design. Anything that can flex and move on a PCP, as the pressure changes throughout the cycle of the gun, then it will cause some form of movement.
And that is why this rifle has been so remarkably consistent, and I've got to say accurate, with a good deal of pellets that I've put through it over the past 4 weeks.
This gun's engineered to be everything you need it to be. So it's got everything in there that you need, nothing extra, nothing missing. And this solid chassis, this monocoque chassis that we've designed in this gun, makes it a shooting machine.
So this little wheel on the end of the butt, this is obviously something that is quite a feature of the BRK Ghost. We've always had, for a long time now, a low, medium and a high power adjustability setting. We don't use the low power, generally speaking, do we? Very few of us use the medium. We just leave it on high. But this is 20 levels of power adjustment, which offers an incredible amount of fine tuning. Tell me more, Tony.
On the 12 foot-pound rifle you have in front of you there, each one of those settings is about 5 feet per second. So you've got 20 settings taking you down, so you can fine-tune it to the ammunition you want. On the high-power rifle we have here, it's actually even more useful because you can take the power right down to about 2/3 of power and have all these 20 settings in between. It does depend on the caliber and the setting of the rifle, pellet weight and regulator pressure, but it gives you quite a usable range of different fine-tuning in the rifle.
So it's both on the high power version, it's also on the plus version, as well as on the carbine.
That's
the 12
right, it's identical
version.
Across the three. It has different effects depending on what
Well,
power
I found it
setup.
extremely useful, I have to say, because with certain pellets, you just know that if you could knock 10, 15 feet per second off, you get a better grouping. The one thing that I really have noticed about the 12 foot-pound carbine is that to shoot, it is not just recoilless, it is dead. To me, you have done something to the internals. Now, I'm sure it's not just the monocoque chassis that's doing this. Have you played around with the valve in here?
It's got a new valve in it, a completely new assembly, and it's really taken from the Alpha Wolf and Delta Wolf again. And this is a balanced valve which we're using in those rifles, and it's been moved into the Ghost. It's incredibly interesting technology. It's right in there. You can get at it with removing one screw, and then it unscrews. So you got the whole valve assembly comes out as a unit.
Oh, so the service agent's going to love that.
It takes seconds to service this rifle.
Great.
And that valve unit, being a balanced valve, takes very little resistance to move it off. One of the interesting things of the electronic rifles is how dead they are to shoot. But the mechanical rifles have a bit more going on. But in the Ghost, the BRK Ghost, for the first time, we're able to mimic that lack of deadness in this rifle.
Well, this is one of the deadest PCPs I've ever fired, certainly the deadest Brockock I've ever fired.
So we've got the 65 foot-pound 2.2 here. Would you like to go on that one?
I certainly would. This is the one that can do 100 foot-pounds in 30 calibre, isn't it?
That's right.
Yeah, I would like to go with that.
I'll just mention on this point that the calibre change on this is one screw. I can change a bolt over with 2 screws, and I can change the calibre in.
So I know you've quoted the Alpha and Delta Wolf earlier. This is the same system?
Yes, it's the same design, and you can use the same changeover time. About 6 minutes to change calibers, isn't that crazy? But this one's set up 65 foot-pound 2.2. I've got a magazine loaded here for you. Let's go.
Goodness gracious, that is a lot more powerful than the 12 foot-pound. What did you say, 65 foot-pounds, did you say? Wow.
Running 25 grain pellets out of this one.
Yeah, you know that there's a heavier pellet because there is a little bit of muzzle lift, but that is so quick. And that is so easy, so
Yes.
easy as a cock,
Yeah.
isn't it? Can I please shoot the plus?
Of course you can.
Before I start shooting, I need to ask you another question. When I fire that HP, and this is an 18 foot-pound 177 plus, there's this little thing here. Now, my carbine didn't have that.
No,
What
the
is
12
it?
foot-pound guns are set. And in fact, changing the regulator pressure on the 12 foot-pound guns doesn't really do much. No. Whereas on the high-power rifles, it does. It gives you a second level of adjustment. This is a Humor air regulator inside these guns. Again, easy access, right where you can get to it. And it has a regulator adjuster here.
So we've got fine-tuning. So not only on the power, we've got fine-tuning of the regulator, which I know many people who shoot at the higher powers, which we in the UK
You can balance the gun a lot better by doing that, particularly on the high power rifles like this. So this is set up as an 18 foot-pound 177, but it wouldn't take very long to change it into a 35 foot-pound.
Right, so we've got the Humor, it's a Humor air reg. So we've got the Humor air reg gauge on that side. And what do? We just tweak it and look at the gauge and see what it's doing.
That's exactly right. If you want to reduce the reg pressure, you turn it out, and if you want to increase the regulator pressure, you turn it in.
Well, that sounds simple. Great, can I shoot it?
Yes, off you go.
So how much allowance do we allow for the raindrops?
Absolutely none. Now this rifle here is fitted with a number of accessories, a cheek rail riser, an adjustable butt pad, and a fast speed cocking lever on the side, just to increase the cocking cycle if you wanted to.
And we've got a riser, so the riser means we can double up the magazine?
Yes, with the cheek piece riser you can put 2 magazines in, one on each side to push it through, so doubling your shot capacity.
So you have one there. Well, you're right, it makes no difference downrange in the rain, does it? Lovely. You really do feel the benefit of that firing cycle with that alpha balanced
Completely still, even though it's a more powerful rifle, it doesn't move at all.
Very quiet with the silencer on as well.
Yes, yeah, I think it balances the looks a little bit better, but of course it is silenced without it. This is a silenced shroud over the barrel.
And I see that on this one we've brought the scope rail back to allow for this.
We're using a low eye relief scope here, prismatic, and because of that we need to bring the scope back. Now on a lot of rifles that kind of sometimes means different mounts, different mounting systems, or hanging it back off the rail, but on the BRK Ghost we have this rail which runs on a 11-12mm rail at the bottom and the Picatinny at the top, and we can just simply undo these 4 screws and move it back and forward. We've
talked about the modular platform and all the extra accessories that we can put on. One of the things that really appeals to me is the fact that I can change caliber so easily with the barrel, and presumably I can put a smaller bottle on this model if I mean I've got to empty all the air, I guess. And
no, you don't. No, there's a valve in the bottle, so you simply unscrew it and you can change the bottles over that way. So you can actually buy an additional bottle kit and put it on if you want, but we have an option here of a 480cc carbon fibre bottle or a 300cc carbon fibre bottle.
Which, so someone like me that does a lot of testing, and I don't always want to take all my charging gear with me wherever I go. It's fine when you're at a club range, but if you're out to the field and you want a day's shooting, then you might just carry a spare bottle with you, unscrew the exhausted bottle, put a new one on, and away you go.
You could do, but bear in mind on a 12 foot-pound rifle, which you'd be shooting, Nigel, you're going to get over 400 shots out of one of these bottles, and probably over 300 with a smaller bottle. How much shooting do you plan to do?
That is a lot of shots, and I guess that the valve is the reason that we are now so efficient on the air.
That's right.
We've known each other a long time, and you know that I'm a little bit fussy about my triggers. This is very nice. This is a bit special.
Yes, it is. It's a completely new trigger design for this rifle. It's multi-adjustable. It'll go quite heavy for a hunter who wants a positive, safe trigger, and yet with some small adjustment you can get that down to a few ounces in weight. It's an incredibly good trigger.
So like the rifle, which could span so many different disciplines, whether you are shooting targets, hunter field target, FT, bench rest, if you're at the club or if you're hunting, you're going to find exactly where you're, not just in power, but also how you set your trigger.
The design of the rifle is modular and is designed to be everything. So you can take stuff off and have the basic rifle that you were shooting up until today, or like this one here, we can festoon it in features and accessories. We can set the trigger to be target light. We can put on different calibers, different silencers, different scopes.
But can it stop the rain?
Unfortunately, no. We have to work on that one.
There's an arrow on this rail. What does that mean?
What it means is this particular rail has a 0.3 degree downward tilt, which effectively brings the barrel up. So instead of having to dial everything in using the scope itself, which is using the optics to bend the angle, the gun itself has a slight angle. In fact, you can see it if you look closely.
Yeah.
It's very subtle, and it just brings everything into optical
So
center.
this saves packing the rear mount and stressing a scope, and we've got a
Having to
rifle.
have adjustable mounts, and adjustments can move, so this takes that all away.
Yeah. So really, we've got a monocoque chassis, and we've got the ability now to have a rock solid scope mount on it, positioned wherever we want it.
Exactly
Right,
right.
I'm going to carry on shooting. Do you want to have a go on the other gun?
Yeah, well, I've got a high power one here, so I think I'll have a go with that.
40 yards, loser buys.
Well, I've got the FAC gun, so you're on.
I'm at a disadvantage with the rain.
The big book of excuses died.
Just for the record, raindrops knock 18 foot band pellets further down than 65 foot band pellets.
Yes, I didn't notice any difference at all.
Listen, 65 foot pounds, not a cat in hell's chance for the 18 foot pound guy, so he's going to get the targets. Off you go. I'll keep the umbrella. Hurry up, Tony. It's raining.
Here we are then. That's your one. Not bad. And that's the FAC one. And you can see the fall of shot on the 18 foot pound compared to the 65. I'm still on the same point of impact as I was at closer ranges.
But I mean, 40 metres, that's less than my thumbnail. 65 foot pounds, pretty much my thumbnail, 18 foot pounds. 177, 22.
And of course, there's a bigger pellet. So that's why
Yeah,
that proves
yeah.
bigger.
Well, I mean, I'd like to say it's a draw, but given that I was on a third of the power you were on, it was raining particularly heavy. I think I've got to take the win, and you got to buy tonight,
Well,
don't
if
you
that's
think?
the way you want to, sure.
You could just give me the gun, and I'll be happy.
So that's the BRK Ghost, a brand new rifle from BRK Brockock. What do you think of it?
Well, I can't hide the fact that I really did fall in love with this. To me, it's the best Brockock yet. I think the new logo, I love it, BRK. I love the 3 models, and thank you so much for letting me have a month's loan of this. My only disappointment, in fact, has been I've got to give it back in today. But I've thoroughly enjoyed shooting the other 2 models in the range as well. The Plus impressed me. You can't argue with a group like that. You know, 6 shots at 40 metres in the rain. Admittedly, there wasn't too much wind, but that is some shooting. But it was easy. I've never shot that gun until today, and that's how easy it is to shoot. The high power, well, who wouldn't want an HP if you can have 70 foot pounds or 100 foot pounds?
It's hard to put that down, to be honest. It was very nice.
It really is. I mean, I love the 20 level power setting is something that I would use. That isn't a gimmick for me. I love the idea that you've broken new ground in developing this monocoque chassis, and everything else on there. It is everything you want in a gun, isn't it? Yeah, I have absolutely loved it, and thank you very much for the opportunity to play with such a lovely piece of kit.
Fantastic night. We'll have to do it again sometime.
Okay, well, I look forward to you buying now the losers round.